All righty, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to another incredible Mentorship Meetup Wednesday. I am your host, your mentor and big sister, Debran Danae Feltes, and it has been an incredible few weeks. We are running hard this side, and I hope you guys have been running hard with us. I know some of you for sure have been. I know Gift and Beth and Emmanuel, Daisy, a few of our other tribe who joined us online and live, Vanessa, who was there live as well. You guys have been running alongside us. I see Deborah popped in as well. She's also one who joined us live at our Next Gen Profit Summit. So you know that we have been running hard because at our Next Gen Profit Summit, something happened that we did not expect to happen. Okay. So we knew that our summit would be the birth of something, right? So look, your big bro and sis were a little naive when it comes to the things of God and the maturity of what, how God moves you and how he can shift things like very quickly. And so we had our summit come along and we're like, God's telling us personally, through family members, through every pastor and apostle we're meeting, that this summit is the birth of something. It's going to be fire. It's going to be incredible. And we're like, yeah, we believe you, God. It's going to be awesome. And then we come to the summit and word after word after word, confirmation after confirmation comes in that we are going to be starting a live hub in San Diego. Like, it was one of those words where you knew God had told us we needed to move to San Diego or do something in San Diego at some point. And we're like, yeah, I know this will help us get there. I just didn't expect it to happen this quick. And since then, every single day, we've had people reaching out to say, when is this hub going to start? I want to come visit. I want to be. When is the first meeting? When is that first thing? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be very blunt with you. I'm going to tell you the truth right now. Michael and I are working hard to try and get us our first meeting as soon as possible. At current, we are trying to find locations and we are trying to find sponsors who are going to help us make this hub a real thing. We need to find a building. We need to find sponsors who will help us support the work there and what we're about to do. We're going to go live. We're going to go all over the world. So that is what we are doing right now. That is where we are going. And so once we have that date officially set, we look forward to inviting you guys to come and join us. And I want to let you know, although I'm saying this is not a far off thing. I want to say this is going to be done within the next 3 months. And I say that because that is the pressure God's putting on us to get this done within these next 3 months. And 3 months, honestly, is pushing it. So our desire is to have this hub, at least a place for you guys within the next month or two at the least, to try and give you guys this place to come. I know Deborah's like, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready in LA. Let me know how I can drive. Let me know how I can be there. Let's do this. I'm ready. So we will keep you guys up to date on how this works. We're going to keep you up to, if you guys would love to be part of this movement, you would love to be part and become an official monthly sponsor to continue sponsoring this hub and making sure it is successful, that it is reaching those next gen profits, that it is reaching the people it needs to reach. Let us know. We've got some giving information there in the chat box, in the comments section. Feel free to join us in this. I know some of the benefits I'm working on readjusting the benefits for all of our sponsors who want to help us with the hub. But if you want to become a monthly sponsor to see this hub be birthed, raise your hand, join us in this. We are pioneering hard to see this work come alive because I know it is going to be something that is beautiful. So this is something I see. Gifts, raise your hand. Michael, take down Gift's number. We'll follow you guys up. We'll follow you up, Gift, on how you can become a proper monthly sponsor for this hub so that we can see it. This will be your home place. So when you come to visit San Diego, you can come visit us at our Next Gen Profit Hub because we're going to be there to support. We're going to be there to invest into you guys and to see you rise up in your call. So that's something that's exciting going on. The second thing I wanted to share with you that happened at our Next Gen Profit Summit that I'm really incredibly proud and happy about is this. Ta-da! We officially released our first ever tribe merch. Our tribe merch, y'all. This was we released this only. We didn't tell anybody. Just our tribe attendees of the summit that we had put together these incredible shirts. I mean, just look at that. Look at those colors. Look at that. I'm a prophet, or it's a sign. I'm a prophet. I shift systems. Now, this is a really cool shirt. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is really cool, but it's one of 5, 6 if you want to include our Cubs shirts. It is one of 5 unique designs that we released at our Next Gen Profit Summit. If you would love to order your own shirt, we have one for each of the fivefold. Okay, we've got one for the apostle, the prophet, of course, the teacher, the evangelist, and the pastor. And then we also have our Cub shirts, which I'm super amped about because not many other places have shirts for the kids. And so I'm really excited about the Cub shirts. So guys, if you would like to get one of these, add it to your closet. See, look, make a declaration. This shirt right here, it's a declaration of your call. It's not just a cool shirt that we wear. It is a declaration because I'm a prophet and I shift systems wherever I go. That's what I do. So if you are one who's called to shift systems, if you are one that keeps being positioned and shift systems wherever you go, this is your shirt. You need to go to the store. You need to use that link that was posted in the comment section, that was posted here in the chat box at collecttouchstore.com. And you're going to go to the merch section and you're going to go get yourself one of these Tribe Unisex t-shirts and you're going to go get and make your declaration, okay? These were incredible. I'm so proud of them. We've been threatening them for a while. Our tribe has always been reaching out to us saying, so when are we going to get like some shirts? When are we going to get some merch for that we can represent as our tribe? And so we heard the cry. I know Daisy was one of them. Daisy's like, I was one of them. I've been calling for these shirts for ages. We finally heard your cry, Daisy. We made it happen. We made it official. This is the official Next Gen Prophets Tribe merch. So go grab yours. Go make your declaration. Each of the fivefold has their own tagline of what they're called to do. I think I've got like, they're all really cool and my favorites. Of course, I love my prophet one. Like that's my ultimate favorite. But I think my second favorite was the evangelist one with our black rhino. And it says, I'm an evangelist. I dominate my territory. And I just is like, I feel it. I feel that aggression, that this is my territory. I love it. So go to collecttouchstore.com, go click on the merch button or use the link in the comment section or the chat box. Go get your shirt. Go make your declaration because you guys asked, we answered. So between that and our hub that we are launching, I don't know where we're going to be in the next 6 months, guys. Never mind the end of the year. You guys have pushed us. I expected to accelerate you guys at our summit. I did not expect you guys to accelerate and push Michael and I out of our comfort zone. So that is where we're at. I'm very much looking forward to these next few months. Michael and I will be in Virginia. By the way, we're going to be in Virginia later this month on the 20th. We fly out on the 20th of March near, what's the exact, look, Michael, you can put the exact like location and address, near Chesapeake, Virginia. We will be near Chesapeake, Virginia for a workshop, and then we will be speaking at a church on the 23rd of March. So if any of you are in the area, any of you feel like you want to drive over and come see us, come meet with us, let me know. Will you have opportunities to serve at your hub in San Diego? Oh, 100%, Heather, 100%. Make no mistake, this hub isn't just for Michael and I to feel good. This is a hub for y'all to come and serve. In fact, one of the things I would love to do, I haven't discussed all of this with my rest of my team just yet, but one of the things I would love to do is actually properly initiate our internship program that we were talking about starting just last year. We talked about having you guys come and do actual hands-on internships with us, learning how to minister hands-on, learning how to pray, learning how to do all of these incredible things. So I would love to be able to initiate that in our San Diego hub. Have you guys come, learn how to worship, learn how to pray, learn how to minister inner healing, learn how to do deliverance. I want you to come and do everything we're doing online every single week, hands-on, tangibly, with a trained minister at your side to literally walk you through step by step. So you can expect, what is the name of this church? It will be the Next Gen Prophets Hub. That will be, or the NGP Hub in San Diego. If you mean the church in Virginia, it is the Bethel Worship Center near Chesapeake, Virginia. That is where we will be on the 23rd of March. We will be attending. They're having a conference and a workshop that week as well. So we'll be attending the Friday, Saturday sessions, and then we will be speaking on the Sunday for their 20th anniversary. I'm incredibly honored and privileged to be invited to come speak on their 20th anniversary with their pastors. It is going to be incredible. So if you guys can be there to help us celebrate them on their 20th anniversary, I would really appreciate that. Address, time to be there. Great questions, Beth. Beth's trying out all the right questions. We will be posting that. If my husband hasn't already done that in the chat box, we will be making another official statement on our social media, on our email. We're just waiting for like the official graphic from the venue directors with all of that information for you. We don't want to just like give the wrong stuff. We want to make sure we give you what they give us. So we're just waiting on that to come in, and then we will post that everywhere. But we will be in Chesapeake, Virginia on the 23rd. Our flights are booked. It's official. We will be out there. So I look forward to meeting up with you guys. That being said, I think I'm sharing a lot. There's still so much going on, but I do realize you guys are here because you need mentorship. You are here because you need an impartation. So I'm going to jump into the start of our series for these next few weeks called Prophetic Precision. Now, you cannot talk about getting precise in your prophetic process without talking about the very first T in our culture. Now, in our Next Gen Prophets culture, we have 5 main parts of our culture. We have an acronym for it called TREAT. It stands for tone, respect, esteem, appreciation, and timely. These 5 words make up the core of the Next Gen Prophet culture. And when we begin talking about prophetic precision, the first 2 words of tone and respect come into play. Now, something I've been teaching my tribe for the last little while is that tone is not just about what you say. It's about how you say it and how you present it. But it also is, tone is all about communication. Tone is all about how you are presenting and communicating the words that God has given you, the instruction that you're trying to give. It's all of that. And I want to talk a little bit about communication today, and especially because we face so much rejection as prophets in the body of Christ around communication. And now you don't think so, okay? You're sitting there saying, "Oh, I don't know if I've had that issue." Let me be honest with you. Anytime you've received prophetic rejection of any kind, 9 times out of 10, okay, I'll give you a little grace, maybe 8 times out of 10. 9 to 8 times out of 10, it's because of a miscommunication or a language barrier. Prophets of God, not everybody speaks the prophet language. Okay, I need this to settle on you. I need you to understand where I'm coming from as your big sister, okay? Today, I want to give you a crash course in the language of fivefold ministry, because if you want to prevent this prophetic rejection from following you for the rest of your life, I need you to understand that each of the members of the fivefold, the rest of the body, speak different languages. Just like in the natural, different countries speak different languages. Actually, even in the United States and certain aspects of other countries, different states speak entirely different languages. We have changes in accents, changes in euphemisms, changes in expressions, changes in ways and things that those expressions mean. Like, something that's hilarious is always comparing the different colloquialisms and meanings of things with a South African archetype and an American archetype, because my family is predominantly South African. I grew up a lot on the state side here of the United States and between Mexico. So I've learned a lot more of the American lingo than I have of the South African. Now, my husband, on the other hand, grew up predominantly in Africa. So he's learned all of those. And so sometimes he will say things that other people will just go like, "Eh? Like, that's weird. Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?" Like robots. This is one we use all the time. Got Daisy, one of our tribe members, Daisy May, real well, was robots. And she's like, "Robots? What robots are you talking about?" Now, for the rest of the South Africans, this makes a lot of sense. See, robots is lights, the stoplights when you're driving for the Americans. But in South Africa, you call them robots. And it's just these weird things, glove compartments, all of these different words, cubby hole, cubby box, like trunk versus boot of the car. These things are so hilarious and weird. And another one that I found out recently is dead. Another one from my husband, dead. He's dead. Means he's laughing so hard he's falling on the floor. It's equivalent of the Americans laugh out loud, LOL. And it was just like all of these different shifts and when you don't understand that difference in language, it could be offensive. Like if you wrote something that you thought was kind of funny or whatever, my husband were to comment on it and he said, #dead. You'd be like, "What? Why? Like, why dead? What is wrong with this post that you're saying dead?" Like, I'm not understanding. But if you were to comment that on another South African's post, it would make sense. They get what they're saying. It's like, oh, haha, like that killed me with laughter. I'm so funny. I'm dead serious that this was funny. Like things like, see, but in the US, yeah, like what Daisy said here, like I'm dead serious. Like this is something that's like really like true and important, and we're not messing around. Like I'm dead serious right now. We're not messing around. But these culture clashes happen all around us. But we don't seem to connect the dots when it comes to our calling as prophets in interaction with the rest of the fivefold. These mixed colloquialisms, expressions, ways we say things are different for each member of the fivefold. Prophets, we tend to think very much black, white, yes, no, sin, not, holiness, or it's not. We're going to walk these two lines, and we're very clear on that. And we tend to be very, very harsh and a bit of a stickler for those rules. It's true or it's not. And we're going to abide by the word of God. And this is what God's saying. We're just going to do it this way. And that's how it's going to be. And if you don't do it this way, obviously you're in sin. Obviously you're in rebellion. Obviously you don't want to serve God, right? How many of you have had that conversation with your pastor? Many times. How well did it go for you? Not very well, I'm assuming. At least not the initial conversation when you came through like that, right? But that's prophets. We're so clear and we're focused. And for us, it's black or it's white. It's true. Now, here's the thing about pastors. They're kind of the polar opposite of the prophet. Make no mistake, the pastor is honestly one of the most stubborn and solid of the fivefold, okay? Where the prophet can be considered flaky, because yes, we're black or it's right, it's yes or it's no, but we also get word of God here, word of God there, we float wherever God sends us. Now the pastor remains. He does not move, because he's there to preserve, protect, and watch over the sheep. He's not going to let just anything come in there until he's had time to study it, understand it, seek God on it, and get confirmation in a multitude of counselors. He's not moving, because the lives of his sheep are at stake. So even though your word may sound good, maybe based on the word, he's going to test the source. He's going to look at where you came from. He's going to look at your reputation. He's like, okay, you're a newbie in my church. You've been in my church maybe a week or two, and you want to come tell me how our church is running wrong. I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. I'm not going to do anything yet. I'm going to sit. I'm going to watch. I'm going to listen. I'm going to see how you interact with people. And I'm going to watch you. If you really want to have that permission to speak into my life and the lives of my people, I want to see you serve. I want to see you actually do something. See, a pastor is being smart. As a leader, this makes sense to you, right? If you have something that is very precious to you, you have your children or your whatever, you name it, that is something that's important to you. You're not just going to let any old person, even if you've only known them for a few days or a week, come up to you and just decide how you're going to live your life, how you're going to rearrange your house, how your children need to live, how your children need to act. You're going to be like, especially if that person isn't a parent. If another parent that I respected, even if I knew them for a short amount of time, walked up to me and said, hey, I noticed your son keeps doing this. Have you tried that? I'm more inclined to listen, because first of all, they're a parent. They've raised successful children, and there's somebody I already respect because I've seen their metrics, right? I'm going to listen to them. I might still take it with a pinch of salt, depending, because I know what God has told me about my child, but I'm not going to totally dismiss it. I'm going to say, okay, talk to me more about it. Explain this to me. I'm going to listen. But if somebody who I don't know, who's never had children, isn't even married, walks up to me and says, this is how you should be raising your child, I'm going to sit there and go, who are you? What do you know? Never been pregnant, haven't even had a period yet. You're going to come tell me how to raise a child. I don't care if you raised your siblings. If you've never raised a child and you had a child and gone through that process, I'm going to look at you like, okay. I'll listen. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I will respect you and I will listen, but it doesn't mean I'm going to actually do what you say, right? I'm not necessarily going to take it into consideration. Now, I'm not saying this to be harsh. I'm just saying this is the reality of what we keep experiencing when it comes to being precise in our prophetic call, in delivering the words that God's given us, in delivering the message that God's given us. We keep expecting everybody to speak our language. And then we get offended when those expectations aren't met because they didn't speak our language. First of all, they're not required to. The Mexican people are not required to speak English in Mexico. Just like we're not required to speak Spanish in Russia. That would be weird because that's the native tongue of the people. It is weird to expect the native people to always speak my language when I'm a visitor in their country. They live there every single day. They work there, they sleep there, their families are there, they live their lives there. And the main language of that country that they were born and raised in, and that is solidified globally, is that language. It is Spanish. In Mexico, it is Spanish. You speak Spanish in Mexico. But I come in as a tourist from Africa. I come in and I try and tell that Spanish speaker what's what and how he should be speaking Spanish. I would be a fool, right? I would be one of those people you video and post online and make fun of because, haha, look at this entitled Karen from Africa coming and telling the Mexican people how they should speak Spanish. It would be weird, right? But we keep doing this to one another when it comes to our fivefold call. We're expecting each other to all speak the same language as us, but we're not. We're a part of a body. We are called to speak an individual language. We are called to speak an individual language that meets the needs of the people that God is sending to us. Look, the pastor's not going to speak prophet, and the prophet's not always going to speak pastor. It's just how it's going to be. But we can learn the language. God created us and gifted us the gift of tongues. And I'm not just talking spiritual tongues. I'm talking about the gift to learn the tongues of man, the tongues of the people. It says here, I'm going to pull up the scripture for you. I can find it for you. I put it aside here. I really love this focus on it. On the focus on, I can't find it right at this. Oh, here. Colossians 4:6. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one. Then notice the emphasis here. Each one, more than one person. More than one. Answer each one. He's not saying answer the multitude of people. He's saying each individual person, because each individual person has their own way of communicating. And now I need you to understand something. When it comes to communication, the burden of communication, write this down, ladies and gentlemen, the burden of communication is on the communicator. So if the people, the person, whoever it is you're talking to, is not catching the memo, is not understanding what you are saying, it's not their fault, it's yours. Because you're the one that is wanting to communicate something to them. So it's up to you to communicate it in a way that they will understand. If you come up to a Spanish-speaking person who does not speak a lick of English and has never met an English speaker in their life, and you come up to them telling them, hey, can you tell me where this is and can you help me with this, all in English, and they're looking at you saying, ¿qué? No entiendo. ¿Qué? No habla inglés. ¿Qué? They're sitting saying, I'm not understanding you. What? What are you saying? I don't speak English. What? And I'm sitting here saying, oh, this stupid person, they're not understanding me. Why can't you just understand what I'm saying? It's so easy. Where is the bathroom? And I'm getting frustrated with this person because they're not understanding me. But they don't understand you either, and they don't want anything from you. You want something from them. Therefore, it's up to you to communicate it in a way they will understand it. ¿Dónde es el baño? How hard is that? Google, translate. The modern civilization has progressed. God has given man so many forms of wisdom and ability to communicate just in the natural form of language. And we need to begin doing the same when it comes to our fivefold call. I'm giving you a crash course in communication. But until you can understand communication, we can't even begin to touch on how to be precise with your prophecy, how to be precise with the direction and the instruction that God is giving you. Because if I can be very honest, when it comes to the view on communication, sometimes I feel like we're a little entitled in our communication. You know, we've got so many movements these days that give us and entitle us to our way of communicating, to our way of how we identify ourselves, to the way of how we feel about ourselves, how we view ourselves. And look, it's not wrong. You should have a sense of identity. You should have a sense of purpose. But at the end of the day, if you're going to reach a particular people, a particular person, you need to know how to reach them. God has called you to reach the lost. Okay, do you know how to speak to them? Do you know how to speak their language that they will understand what you have to say? By all means, let's not go such to the full extreme where we get rid of our heavenly language and we compromise our identity. We compromise what God has given us. We compromise the message that He's given us, because God is very deliberate with His words. Okay, I need you to understand. God is deliberate with the words that He chooses to give and tell His people. He doesn't just say immediately what He thinks and what He feels. He is deliberate about those words, and we need to be deliberate about what words we are using to reach the right people. Now, here in Mexico, you want to know where the bathroom is? ¿Dónde es el baño? Where is the bathroom? They're going to point it. Now, in Japan, if you were to ask that, you say, toilet, with a question sounding, and the persons will understand the context and they will point it to you. They will point you to the bathroom. That's how it works in Japan. You don't have to ask the full-on question. You can say the word with a questioning tone, and they will read the subcontext, and they will point it to you, because that's how they work in their language, in their culture. In Mexico, you actually have to ask, ¿Dónde es el baño? You could give the subtext as well, and they'll figure it out. They're really friendly in that matter. But that's how it works in this culture. We need to adjust. We need to adjust our language. We need to adjust how we are going to reach God's people. Because if we want to reach God's people and we want to see movement, we want to see breakthrough, we need to learn the language of our people. When we were preparing for our Next Gen Prophet Summit, we were going literally from door to door. We were physically taking ground. I won't lie, I felt a little bit like Abraham. We were walking all over San Diego, all over different parts of it, literally physically walking, going up to businesses, handing out the flyer, saying, hey, we are a Christian nonprofit. We are hosting this event. Can I put a flyer in your community board? Can we do this? Can we do that? And we are walking around, knocking on these doors. I had to learn the language that would get me the open door to put that flyer on their community board, because guess what? They have many people coming through to them every single day. Why should they care about me? What was so great about me and my event and my flyer that made it better than everybody else's, except for the fact that it was just honestly a really cool looking flyer? Nothing, except for how I presented it. This goes in business. This goes in ministry. This goes in our day-to-day lives, relationships, you name it. When you can learn this form of communication, you are going to see incredible breakthrough and precision in your prophetic ministry. I'm giving you very practical examples and very practical steps. And I'm going to go even more practical on how to avoid that rejection from miscommunication, okay? Because we take it from James 1:19. It says, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, okay? So when we take James 1:19, and guys, look, there are so many scriptures on communication, so many. You just do a curious glance through the word and research of the term communication or listening or speaking throughout scripture. You're going to get so many. You've got Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Ephesians, James, Colossians, like it's so many. But James 1:19 says here, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. This gives us our 3 steps on how to master communication for prophetic precision. All right. The very first one is listen. Sometimes as prophets, we get so busy talking, we don't pay attention to what they are saying. You know, the craziest thing about growing up in Mexico was that I learned how to hear and interpret Spanish through listening before I learned to speak it. It was the craziest thing growing up, because I grew up in a lot of these neighborhoods. When I started growing up, English wasn't very common, but a lot of people still want to learn it because, of course, you have a lot of Americans coming across the border. It's a well-known fact that if you want to, get a little bit more money, you want to be a little bit more successful, you need to be bilingual. So a lot of people in Mexico are bilingual with English and Spanish and sometimes other ones. So I grew up in a neighborhood where all the Spanish kids wanted to learn English. I wanted to learn Spanish. So we developed this game. I spoke English, they spoke Spanish to each other. This was the game that we played. And so I learned how to hear and understand Spanish before I could speak it. Now, as I grew up, I couldn't remain that way. Now I'm an adult with people who need to actually have communication who don't all speak that, and we don't play this game. We're not in that agreement. And I had to learn how to speak it. But the power of listening allows you to understand. Your brain begins being conformed to the connotations, the subtext. You begin listening to how they say things. And trust me, just by having a Mexican accent, even when you say certain English words here in Mexico, helps a ton. I will never forget the time I put this into practice. I'm going to share this one little story and then I'm going to move on a little bit more. We visited a restaurant here in Rosarito, Mexico, and it was one of these places that are a little bit well known for having American tourists. And we came on a weekend, so there's a plethora of vacationing tourists coming to have all the great tropical drinks and beachy experience. You know what comes with that, right? Summer break, all of this stuff. And we go to this restaurant, and you could see the waiter was like, right, more Americans. Like, he had this look on his face of, I've already dealt with so many of you today, whatever. He walks up to our table, and I started speaking Spanish to him. I had the English menu, but I spoke Spanish to him because this is his country. This is who he is. It's easier to communicate something when they know it straight off. They don't have to translate it. And his whole demeanor just shifted. His whole face changed. She got so much happier. We got incredible service the rest of the night. Our chips never ran out. We had full-on salsa. Our drinks were constantly refilled as needed. He was honest if we needed something. Just by taking the time to do the second part of the culture, which is respect the man. See, when we're learning to communicate with tone, we need to also remember to respect the person. Communication is all about tone and respect. Tone by watching what we say, choosing what we say, how we're presenting it, but also respecting the person to communicate in the way that they need to be understood. Just that little bit of respect and that little bit of tone. I was still learning my Spanish, so it was way more broken than it is today. I'm still learning. I'm still not mastered it. But just by throwing in the Spanish accent, the words that I did know, stringing them together and working through, and even at times asking him what the word was in Spanish for the thing I was asking, immediately earned the respect of the person I was communicating with to the point where he did want to help me. Now, listening is going to do this for you. When you can listen to the words people are saying, you can listen to how they speak those words in the subtext that they speak those words, because in Spanish, sometimes you say things very reverse than we would in English. We say, do you have? And they say, have you? Things like this. It's kind of opposite. They have 3 words for do you or have. You got, does the person have? Do I have? Do you want? They have 3, 4 different words sometimes, and it can be a little confusing. Whereas in English, we just have one word for it, and we just use it wherever. It can be confusing, but if you take the time to listen to the words, how they're saying it, the way they're saying it, it becomes so much easier, which leads us to step number 2. Choose your words carefully, right? Be slow to speak. This part. Choose your words carefully. Don't just throw out a word because you think it works. I've done this so many times. I recently had one major kerfuffle. I was tired. I was driving home, and my mother happened to be in the car. We stopped at a gas station. Now, here in Mexico, they service your car for you. They'll clean your windows, they'll pump your gas and do all this stuff, and you got to tell them, you just let them know what you want. And so I do this like several times a week. Like, this is off the back of my head, but this one particular time we'd gone grocery shopping. I was tired. We pull up to the gas station. He asked me how much. I'm like, okay, this much money, this much gas. Yep, sounds great. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually need him to clean the windows for me. And so I saw the word in my head, and I go, señor, necesita limpieza las verduras. Now, for any Spanish speakers in this room, you will know I just made a major faux pas. Because verduras in Spanish is vegetables. I just asked the nice man if he could clean my vegetables for me. What I meant to say was, necesito limpieza mi vidrios, which is windows. But I was so tired and I wasn't choosing my words carefully. I wasn't paying attention. I was so certain I knew what the word was because it was a V. And I was just saying that a little while ago because we were at the grocery store. And so I just went out there in my boldness and asked him to wash my vegetables when I meant to say, can you wash the windows for me? Now, slow to speak will prevent foot in mouth syndrome like me, where you're sitting at the gas station and you ask the young man if he can wash your vegetables. There are so many weird connotations and ways that could have been taken. No, Daisy, he did not clean my vegetables. Thankfully, he had grace. He recognized I was a gringa. I was a non-Mexican young lady who had mixed up her words. He grabbed the connotation. He didn't say a dang thing. He just said, sure thing, ma'am, and cleaned my windows. And it was only after, see, that was the most embarrassing part. He said, yeah, sure, no problem. He picked up the context. He understood because I was speaking great Spanish up until that moment. And I'm sitting there, and my mom sits there, and she goes, you know, you just asked him to wash your vegetables, right? I was like, no. Windows. Verduras is windows. We had a little whole back and forth. And she's like, no, Deborah. Verduras is vegetables. You asked him to clean your vegetables. I'm like, yeah. Now I remembered because I was so quick to try and get it over with. I'm tired. I want to get home. I didn't pay attention. So please, guys, take time to choose your words carefully. And if you don't know the word, move on to step 3. Get help. Here's the thing about communication. Most people recognize when you are battling to communicate, no matter whether we're talking language barrier, like the example I've been using so far, or just in general. They recognize you're having issues to communicate. And so people are going to do their best to try and help you. Now, sometimes that help is going to not necessarily be as gracious as my mother saying, you know, you just asked him to help you wash your vegetables, right? Sometimes it's not going to be as nice and as gracious as that, but it probably also is just as embarrassing. The amount of times we've done that. But when we start recognizing people are trying to help us, we now begin to get understanding. Help is going to come from outside of you. Help is going to come from Google Translate. It's going to come from a friend. It could even come from an enemy. It could come from a stranger saying, like, that doesn't make sense. I don't understand what you're saying. In these moments, people are trying to help you understand that your point is not coming across effectively. And you need to pay attention. Then we go back to step 1 and 2 again, right? Listen, choose your words carefully, get the help. Pay attention, listen to what they're saying, get the help. Get the help. Let them teach you how to communicate. We go up to our pastor, we say we got a word, they say, okay, I understand you got this word, but I need you to do this first. And we sit there saying, oh, you're just rejecting me. You don't understand. I got this important word. And he says, no, I get it, but I need you to do this. What he's trying to tell you is, I see that you have this word, but if you want your word to be successful, you need to be at a certain standing. You need to go through a certain protocol. So if this is truly a word from God, step 1, step 2, step 3, apply. This is how it works. And communication is going to be different in church to church and pastor to pastor. And so you've got to learn that form of communication. Now, look, dialects change from different regions, okay? But the base words and the base communications and ways and certain phrases will remain the same. So once you can learn it from one person, you can, by all means, usually get by with everybody else. So let's start there with these 3 steps of listen to the culture, listen to the way the people are speaking, listen to how they are speaking, the tones they are using, because in the American culture, it's very normal to be very loud and rambunctious, especially in restaurants. We're getting together, we're celebrating something, we're very loud. You can hear the hubble and the bubble, and if you walk into a restaurant, there's a lot of noise going on. In fact, usually the music is incredibly loud so that it drowns out the noise. You can have a little bit more private conversations because everybody are just genuinely loud. Now, if you go to Europe, especially Switzerland, that does not like that. You know, if there is music playing, it's very soft, It's very mellow. It's in the background. You are talking softly. You are talking because you are respecting everybody's space in the restaurant, right? We're respecting everybody's private conversation. So we talk softly, we talk mellow. This is how we do things. So if you are loud in that restaurant, you come across as disrespectful. Cultures shifting. Some churches may be louder than others. Some churches may be quieter than others. The point is, if you want to reach those people, if those are your people and God has positioned you there, then you need to learn to reach them in a way that they will understand. Okay? So now that we've got that, this is your project this week. I've got a project for you regarding the listen, choosing your words, and getting help. I'm going to give you this project, and then we're going to wrap up today because we did take a little bit longer, and I've got to run to another meeting after this. So this is your self-study project, and we can follow up again next week because these next 3 weeks, we are going to be working through this prophetic precision. We're going to be working through all of these conversations, okay? So it starts with, listen, what is a core conflict you keep happening? What is the core conflict you keep happening in your communications? This could be with your pastor, it could be even with your spouse. I don't know, pick something. Somewhere you keep having a conflict. Pick one person, max 2 people, okay? If you want to push it to 3, what we're going to look for in these ways is we're going to look for themes, okay? If you keep having a lot of communication conflicts with more than 2 or 3 people, you need to start paying attention to the theme. There's obviously a current theme in your communication that is just broad spectrum, it ain't working. So you need to identify what is the theme, what is the core theme of the conflict. What do they keep saying? This is listening now. Remember, we're not just going to say our ideas. We're going to listen to what people have been telling us, right? Listen. You're too loud. You're too soft. You're so dogmatic. You're so this. You're that. Why can't you just do this? What is the core conflict that keeps repeating itself time after time after time after time? Okay? That's first. Second, choose your words. Which words does this person want to hear? Okay? What words does this person want to hear? So I'm not asking you what words do you want to say. I'm saying what words does this person want to hear? What is going to win them over, right? How are you going to communicate to them the way they want to be heard? Okay, we are talking to a South African here. He's asking for directions. All right, some of my tribe have been around for a little while. He's asking for directions. You've got to turn left at the lights. What do you tell him? What words is he waiting to hear? You keep saying turn left at the lights. They're not understanding you. What words do they want to hear so they know where to go? Very good, April. Robot. Turn left at the robot. April was first, Sarah was second. Great job. You guys have been paying attention. You guys have been learning very well in our tribe. I'm very proud of you guys. You have been listening. He wants to hear you. We're talking to a South African who's visiting in the United States of America. And he says, how do I get to the Walmart over here? You say, you're going to go down the street. You're going to pass these 3 robots and you're going to turn left at this robot onto this street. They're going to say, okay. And they're going to go on their way. But if you keep saying, oh, you're going to follow these lights all the way down and then turn right at this light onto this street, they're going to go, okay. And then begin consulting Google Maps again. Because they didn't understand what you said. So what words do they want to hear? My husband dropped in some stuff in the chat box. He added in there. Anyway, and then finally, on your project, step 3, get help. Who keeps calling out to you? Who keeps saying, hey, this isn't working? Who keeps saying, have you tried this? There's people who are getting in your face and saying, this ain't working. You haven't noticed, and you see them as conflict. You see them as conflicting with you because they're saying that it's too harsh, it's too strong, it's too this. Pay attention, get the help, ask for the help. Now, when I say get help, when I say choose your words, I want to specify or clarify 2 things here. Okay, first, in regards to choosing your words, which words does the person want to hear? Okay, when we are dealing with especially spousal conflict or toxic environments or abuse or things like this, I need you to understand that sometimes it's not about what does the person necessarily want to hear. Like, okay, first of all, you need to find out what do they want to hear, because if you can find out what they want to hear, you can figure out how to diffuse the situation and calm down the situation. This doesn't necessarily mean you say exactly what they want to hear, because sometimes when you're dealing with let's say an abusive relationship, you're in a toxic narcissistic relationship, what they're looking for is for you to give in and admit you were wrong or admit that you made the mistake when in reality you really truly didn't. Now you cannot ask for forgiveness and you cannot apologize for something you did not do, but you can word yourself in a way that will calm them down, that will diffuse the situation and allow you to step out the way. So choose your words, pay attention to those words, and then step that way. Okay, so I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, well, this is what I really meant. No, we don't say this is what I really meant. Don't ever do that. No, I apologize if that came across. That was not what I intended. What I was doing was this. I was focused 100% here and I did not intend that. I did not mean that. I'm not saying what I really meant. I'm not saying what I really felt. I'm not saying, I'm just stating fact. I was sorry. I was running really hard to take care of this. I didn't think about what I said in that moment. I apologize if it came across that way. Diffuse. Because I'm not admitting to right or wrong, because in that moment, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about communication. It's about getting the point across. Okay, so we need to understand that when we're choosing our words, what words does the person want to hear? So first of all, find out what they want to hear, and then word yourself in a way that will help them hear that without admitting to something you didn't do. Because if you admit to something you didn't do, you admit to that fault, you admit to that sin. Now we're going to sit and fight for another who knows how long. Okay. So in regards to who keeps calling out to you and getting help, you also need to recognize you need to get help from a trusted source. Don't just go to any random person and get help. Okay. Because like, for example, if you are, let's use the example of in a marriage where you have a narcissistic spouse or you have an abusive boss or something like this. If you're in this kind of thing, last thing I'm going to do is go to the person who is abusing me to tell me how I'm not communicating right. Don't do it. That's just, if you're having conflict with that person, don't go to the person you have conflict with to ask them how you should communicate. Go to a trusted outside source. In this case, you can come to your tribe directors, Michael and I, and say, okay, I'm having this conflict. This is what the person keeps saying. I think this is what they want to hear. This is what I'm feeling. How should I be communicating this to them? What am I saying or doing wrong here? And then that outside source can give you that perspective. Somebody is trusted. Somebody is grounded in the word, because the word of God is our standard. When it comes to communication, guys, the word of God is our standard, not our feelings, not our thoughts, not our opinions. Wisdom is speaking. Wisdom and understanding and instruction are going to save you. Okay. Read all the Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. It goes so in depth about that. So I'm going to leave you with those two things, or those 3 steps to do this week. Give that a try. Let us follow up again next week. Like I said, we will not be having a breakout room because I have to run to a project, another meeting right after this. What I want to request from you guys, if you have not already, purchased your really cool t-shirt, by the way. If you have, and if you guys are, considering sponsoring, is reach out, let us know. Let's talk about what we can do for sponsorship. We are looking for monthly sponsors or partners who would like to help us see this hub go and become official. We want to get this done within the next 3 months. We literally every single day are having people reach out to us. And then they're talking to people that they know or friends and mentioning it. And they're saying, when is this going to start? So we're getting so much momentum right now. We cannot afford to wait longer. So right now, our holdback is finances. I know we need at least a minimum of $10,000 to $15,000 probably to get started on everything. So become a monthly sponsor. Help us out. Let's make this hub successful. Let's make this hub a place where you can come and get that impartation and a hands-on equipping for your process. It is not a church we're building, you guys. It is a next gen prophets hub. You come to be equipped, you come to be accelerated, you come to be sent out. That is what we're going to do. And yes, for Heather, who said places to serve and to intern, we will most definitely have those opportunities available to you. We just need to sit down and finish solidifying and working out all the details. Because what we do, how we do it, will depend on the budget, will depend on the space, will depend on, where we end up. So that is where we are at. I will meet you guys next week. Make sure you post your takeaways on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Tag me, tag the Next Gen Prophets. I want to read your takeaways. I want to read and hear what you have to say. This helps me track your progress as well. When you guys post your takeaways on social media or even on the community network, this helps me track your progress and helps me understand how best to continue communicating with you. Because if you didn't understand me today, guess what? That's my fault because I didn't communicate clearly enough. If you understood something that I didn't intend, again, that's on me. I need to learn how to communicate with you better. I need to learn how to reach you. So help your big sister out. Post your takeaways, post your favorite quotes, some of the things you got. This gives me insight to how you guys are doing and how best to continue accelerating you in your prophetic program. So I love you guys tons. We are going to end this meeting here today. I love you. We will see you all next week. Bye bye for now.